So when we first set the business up around 15 years ago, the materials we mainly worked with or had at our disposal were based around what is effectively an industrial product. So things like woven meshes like this were originally used for filters and belts and sieves, and still are. We then get hold of it and we start putting our own take on it. Other products we used to work with regularly were perforated sheets, which is simple coil or flat blanks of aluminium, steel, mild steel, and holes being perforated, different hole sizes, different hole pitches. Again, pretty agricultural as a product, but once you finish it and do things with it, it can look completely different from its raw state. Over the years, we started doing more things with these perforated panels. We started profiling it, as you can see here, to give it more depth, more texture. And then in time, expanded metals became an architectural product rather than just an industrial product. The expanded metals we found to be extremely good in architecture because they're strong, they're light, and they're relatively inexpensive. The way these things are manufactured is you will take a blank piece of metal and effectively cut it with knives, and as the knives go into it, it pulls the metal apart. So what you start with of a metre of material, you'll finish with 1.5 meters with no waste. So in today's world where efficiency and wastage are paramount, expanded metals becoming a very, very popular choice for architects to work with. On the back of this, we couldn't just leave the metals as they are. You can't leave them raw. It leaves sharp edges. So what we generally do is we will try and finish them. This doesn't just go for perforated or expanded, it also goes for the woven metals. As you can see, raw edges on these materials, they stick in you and it hurts. So when we started looking at finishes, the most obvious and the most common is to simply use a powder coat, such as this one. This is just raw aluminium with a 60 micron powder coat. It takes all the rough edges off it and gives a nice even finish. Very popular, more and more now the colours being used in architecture. Back in sort of 10-15 years ago, it was always this colour, which is RAL 9006, which is a kind of silvery grey. It's not the most exciting, but it didn't upset people either. But these days we're using hundreds and hundreds of different RAL colours, and pretty much the whole spectrum of colour. And then moving into more specialist finishes, such as this one, which is again a powder coat, but it's hand applied, and gives you a rust feel, rust texture, rust look, but without any of the issues of rust, i.e. the material underneath is not breaking down. So it's a high performing material that in today's age where everybody wants it to look old, have some provenance, you get that, but with a performing material underneath. We still work a lot with the mill finish, but generally with the more yellow metals, such as copper, brass, as people want the natural luster of this. We used to do a lot of copper, just as standard cladding, because the clients and the architects like the way that copper goes from this shiny orangey look slowly in time to the green verdigris that is common around London. The other major process that we use for finishing is anodizing. You see this everywhere in automotive, in general lifestyle. So much of aluminium is anodized these days, small components up to large components. So we do large panels with this anodized finish, and it's effectively a stain into the metal, and it will actually get into the pores of the aluminium and give it its color, so it means it doesn't scratch. However, it's quite an expensive process, but its durability outweighs the cost on the whole. We can do this in a natural silver or bronzes, golds, blacks, and even colours. However, because of the impurities in aluminium, you can never guarantee the same colour twice, which also makes it very difficult. So often we'll use a If somebody wants a facade that has to be perfect, every single panel, same colour, we'll generally try and use a bronze powder coat rather than a bronze anodise. However, if they're happy with it to be slightly more organic, then the anodising can be the way to go. This one is done using hydrosublimation, so it's dipped into water that already has a film finish on top, and the finish adheres to the panel. And this one means that you can put images onto it, flip colours, make aluminium look like carbon fibre. You can do all sorts of things with it, but we picked this out of the automotive industry, and there's very few companies doing it, but we've been championing it hard because it really does give a good finish and durable. This one is one of our most popular ones, and one of the ones we love the most because it shouldn't exist. It came out, or it came off the loom twisted and wrong and was binned, and we pulled it out the bin and said, right, we need to make that again, which is incredibly difficult to make something broken a second time round. But we managed it, and once laminated, you see what's a fairly sort of sharp looking material once it's in the glass. It's absolutely beautiful and is used around the world. We're the only people that make it like that, and gets used for partitioning, external cladding, all sorts of things.